Trace McSorley, quite honestly, really stood out to me because imagine your season is on the line and all you can do is to come in and try to figure out anything to get this team going. You're down 35-34 and you've got to do anything possible. The Marquise Brown drop was huge for them.
Right.
You may not have even needed this drama at the end if Marquise Brown, doing his best Deontay Johnson doesn't drop that ball. But to me, what really fascinated me is what was going on the sidelines, when Trace McSorley is laying there. And when he's laying there, you've got Willie Snead, who is going up and down the sideline saying, give me a ball, because he's got to take some snaps. He's the emergency quarterback, and he figures he's going in there. And so, it was organized chaos. You've got Justin Tucker saying to Harbs, I might have to go in and hit this to John Harbaugh. And then you've got Willie Snead quickly taking some snaps. And then out of the tunnel, somebody says, hey, Lamar's coming. And Lamar Jackson is coming out of the tunnel, and just kind of the chaos of it all and the fun of it all. Because you know what, Mike? Lamar Jackson was not coming out of the locker room if McSorley is not laying there on the ground.
Chris, I was waiting for you to respond. It was so smooth until you didn't respond.
Well, I didn't know. You asked him if I didn't know.
Usually, that's the kind of rhythm that
Chris.
We have. It's been a while since we've done the three-man weave. That's kind of how it goes. He talks, you respond, I pick it up, we go from there. But it's been a while. We all get a little bit of a break here. But, Peter, that Monday night game, I think that moment when you see Lamar Jackson coming out of the locker room and back onto the field, and then what he does with it, the fact that he throws it, because I would have sworn this guy's going to run the ball. It's just 5 yards. He can get 5 yards rolling out of bed and extend the drive to throw it, and then to throw it to, of all people, Mr. Dropsy on the Baltimore Ravens, Marquise Brown, and he catches it and he scores a touchdown. That took what was a pretty damn good Monday night game and just thrust it into the Pantheon. Chris, what do you think?
Well, okay,
Chris,
sorry.
What do you think?
I didn't know. You just asked him. I thought maybe you'd come back with another question. So, first off of what Peter said, all right, first, I kind of said this yesterday. If McSorley just kind of limps himself off the sideline in a hurry, the moment never happens, right? That's, to me, the amazing thing. Like Peter said, the fact that he laid there and did that gave Lamar Jackson the time to run out of the locker room and get in there for the fourth down. That's amazing. Here's one little football aspect that I just think is amazing about that play itself. Fourth down. This is where, division rivals know each other. The Cleveland Browns bring an all-out blitz. They're bringing the house, basically. There's no safety in the middle of the field. It's just 4 one-on-ones across the field. But the Ravens must have had a good feel for that blitz to be coming. And they figured out how to pick it up and also get their back out into the flat, right? You saw J.K. Dobbins there. He was one of those guys where you're like, just throw it to him. It's going to be a first down. But within that, Olivier Vernon, who they're expecting, hey, you'll be able to blitz because J.K. Dobbins is going to have to pick up some other blitz, right? He's going to have to, so you'll be able to go too. He has to run and cover J.K. Dobbins. They get the back out of the backfield. What is that? What happens? Olivier Vernon runs into the guy that's covering Hollywood Brown. And I just found that to be a very interesting X and O development there of a team that kind of had a feel for this is what you're going to do. And then, of course, made the play, and it kind of backfired on the Browns and everything like that to have a defensive end in the flat covering a running back, and you saw what happened. Okay, Mike.
No, Mike, if I can just intercede one thing about, to me, what was let's lay this layer on top of it, okay? And that is the only thing that's at stake here is Baltimore's season.
Yeah.
That's it. If they lose this game, there's a very good chance they're not making the playoffs, okay? So if they lose this game, just think about it. They go to 7-6, And they've got, even if they, win them all down the stretch, which they very well may do, even if they win them all, 10-6 guarantees nothing. And it's like what Justin Tucker said. Every game for us right now, every one is a playoff game. And again, listen, I understand that Lamar Jackson probably was, because somebody who saw him in the locker room, during his exile in there, said that he was up on his tiptoes trying to hasten the cramps to get out of there. And they had already pumped so much solution into him that they were trying to hurry it up. And look, who knows what would have happened on 4th and 5 if Trace McSorley just pops up and he gets up there and you're going to go for it. Either that or how about this? 62-yard field goal try. Remember what you just saw Justin Tucker saying, hey, I might have to hit this. Now, I don't know. If you're John Harbaugh, do you trust Trace McSorley to convert 4th and 5 more than you trust your kicker to make a 62-yard field goal with an 18-mile-an-hour crosswind? And that, to me, is a great question. Because, look, we all saw the 55-yard field goal go right through. But if you watch that field goal closely, and Chris, if you go on to NFL Game Pass and you look at the coach's tape, I want you to look at the action of that kick late in the kick. And you know what you're going to see? It starts off here on the right-hand side.
Right.
And goes over here right at the end. Right. So who's to say that a 62-yard field goal, even if he has it, he had plenty of foot on the 55-yard field goal. But if it's a 62-yard field goal, it could have gone wide. So it's just, this is one of these things that, quite honestly, you could do a 2-hour show on and discuss all of these little things and what could have happened. But that's what made that such a fascinating thing, Mike.
And the fact that the Ravens now have that mentality where their backs are against the wall and they have to win every week. Every week is a playoff game. In a weird sort of way, that may help them win a playoff game. That was the narrative going into the season. Hey, they're going to have another great regular season. Yeah. Can they win in January? Lamar Jackson can't win a playoff game. It was becoming a Barry Bonds type narrative that when they get to the games that matter, Lamar can't get it done. When you're churning through these games, Chris, in December, that you have to win, by the time you get to the playoffs, it's just another week. There's no mystique about it because you've been in this mode for a month now.
Yeah, you're in the desperation mode. There's nothing, there's no other way you can play or survive. So you've found a way to have your intensity and level of focus in playoff, shape here through a number of weeks to where it gets to the playoffs, and maybe one team is like, whoa, wait, things are a little different this week and getting adjusted, and the other team rolls into town and is like, oh, big playoffs, so what? There's a few more media guys here. We've been in the playoffs for 6 weeks. We saw it last year. The Tennessee Titans, that's what happened with them, right? It's the same kind of thing. They were a 9-7 football team. They had to be in playoff mode throughout December, and that allowed them to, catch the Baltimore Ravens, who have taken a few weeks off, and we've been in barroom brawls, at the end of the regular season and won a playoff game and a barroom brawl against the Patriots. And now here's the Ravens like, whoa, we got to get used to things again. And bam, 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 you're smacked in the mouth, and all of a sudden you're losing a divisional playoff game you're supposed to be winning.
The other X factor in here, Chris, obviously, is that, the Ravens know what their past has been, their very recent past. They had home field advantage over the Chargers in 2018, and they spit the bit, and particularly Lamar Jackson in that game. Then last season, they spit the bit again, and Lamar Jackson doesn't play well again in a huge playoff game, this time when they're the number 1 seed to Tennessee. So they understand that, the historical clock is ticking, and it's against them right now. So every one of the games that they play, like they played on Monday night, in my opinion, is a booster shot for Lamar Jackson in his, I think, almost, and I'm not saying that mentally it weighs on him. What do I know? I'm not in his body. I don't know. But from the outside, Lamar Jackson's got to know that, hey, listen, his record in big games at the end of at a lot of these games is not the greatest. So that is obviously a check mark on the plus side for him.
And, to get back to something that Chris and I were discussing last hour, and I was resisting just because I felt like resisting Chris, the idea that the Bills, or the Steelers for that matter, parked at the number 2 seed, contemplating what to do week 17, knowing that there's a damn good chance the Ravens are the team coming to town in the wild card round. Chris, I have to admit, I'm softening my stance on this. Maybe there is value in being the 3 seed instead of the number 2 seed if the Ravens continue this head of steam, because I don't think the Steelers want him again with a full complement of players,
Definitely
including
not.
Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And I don't think the Bills want to mess with him either, Chris.
I mean, it'd be the last team I'd want to see coming to town. For lack of a better phrase, pissed off Baltimore Ravens team that's been in playoff mode and bully mode for the last 5 weeks. And then deal with that running game and Lamar Jackson and everything he can do. And then, again, the other thing we're forgetting here, the Ravens defense is not healthy. It's just kind of starting to get some guys back to where they've been very average. I mean, they haven't even been good the last 5 weeks on defense. Not average. They have not been good. I mean, Baker Mayfield and company moved the ball and will on them. I mean, so I mean, you're right, Mike. I mean, that to me is going to be part of this, and how McDermott or whoever is, Mike Tomlin, in that situation, the psychology of it, the message you want to send to your team, and then, okay, the reality of actually who we want to play that wild card round. I think it's something that's certainly going to be worth debating when you get to that time, whoever that is, the Bills or the Steelers.
The other part is, obviously, if you're the 3 seed, you're going to get one home game, and that's probably it in the playoffs. And look, I don't think home field means very much this year, but it means something. And, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, would at least consider, do we want to go to Buffalo again? I mean, do we want to set it up
right
so that in the divisional round, on January 16th or 17th, do we want to set it up so that we're going back to Orchard Park? And again, no fans, but still, there's something about being on the road in that game that is not good, I think, at that time of the playoffs. And look, there's no guarantee that the Ravens are going to be the 7th seed. They're just, it's such a weird year. Because, look, if the Ravens are 11-5, I think they're going to be better than the 7th seed. And we'll see what happens. But I think if you look at the way this is going to fall, it looks like right now that Buffalo and Pittsburgh could well be fighting for that, for that 2 seed. And if they are, there are a lot more factors at stake than just who gets the home game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.